So the theme for the month of November is rejoice. And I changed the affirmation because I don't do affirmations this way. I'll just read it quickly and you'll see what you like better. The one printed was, the reason that your life is one of joy is because there is nothing in the world to take your joy from you. Let's switch that around and take this within right now. The reason that my life is one of joy is because there is nothing in all the world to take my joy from me. How did that sound? Is that a bit better? So I would like you to use that one. Well, rejoice. Rejoice is to feel or show great joy or delight. Thus the topic. YAHOOO! YIPEEE! And YEEEHAW! In fact, if you don't know, I use that quite often. In fact, after Anthony sang that last song, that's what I was doing, the YEEEHAW. You might have heard it. I just do that. And you might say, well, that's pretty strange for a mountain man to say. Well, you got to know there was another part of my life that wasn't just growing up in the mountains. My father, my great-grandfather, and great-grandfather were from Cochrane. And they were in the farming business, a mixed farm, and my uncle was a dairy farmer. So I spent every summer and weekends down at the farm, or either one, or in Calgary with my grandparents, along with my other brother. And the 4 younger siblings had to stay at home. And you know, we thought we were the luckiest boys in the world getting to go do that. Had no idea that Mom sent us away because she could get a break. So it worked both ways. But that's it, you know. And so I remember going to the rodeos and the guy going, YAHOOO! YEEEHAW! YIPEEE! Anybody ever been to rodeos or heard that kind of stuff? They've been around ranches, you heard that. And of course, when you're a kid like me growing up, 14 out of every 20 soap operas were all westerns on TV. So you got a lot of that. So that, to me, is rejoicing when I'm in that place where I feel like yelling that out. I'm really, what does it say? Show great joy or delight. So I want to explore this idea of rejoice. Really, it's more of an inner sensation than an outer experience. So let's talk about that. There's two components to rejoicing. I don't know whether you knew that. There's the physical component. So in the physical world, when we rejoice, it's similar to exalt, revel, celebrate, delight, enjoy, glory, triumph, be glad, be overjoyed, feel happy, or jump for joy. Any of that kind of stuff. That's how we personify it in the physical world. It's really a feeling and a demonstration or showing of great joy and delight. And we do that, and you see people do that all the time. Now, has anybody ever been told, oh, settle down, don't be you're out of line, too overly, anybody ever been told that? Yeah, put the flames of rejoicing and celebration out. Don't listen to anybody anymore. If they can't handle it, tell them to move on. It's easier that way than letting them put your flame out. Because if they can't enjoy that and really like that in you, then I feel sorry for them, because that means they don't have it within inside themselves, or they can't express it. And it's really good to be able to express yourself. So there's always that physical component, demonstrating it and everything. I like coming up and paying a little attention to Willie, and he helps me rejoice by responding. Right? I like dogs. Anybody here like dogs? Dogs like me too, for the most part, except mine. He loves me when Anna's not there. When he's not, when Anna's there, he doesn't like me. He bites me. So I start to stay away. Yeah, oh, it's true. I can work possibly imagine. So yeah, that's it. And we got to do more rejoicing. And you can be satisfied and happy and excited and delighted over simple little things. It doesn't have to be a big Yahoo. It can be a Yahoo. Doesn't matter what. It's not measured, rejoice is not measured in the demonstration out there. It's measured by what's going on in here. And it could be in anything. I was so much rejoicing this year. I got a great granddaughter. I got another Harley Davidson. Wow! Yeehaw! I got booked for 11 Sundays next year at Unity and 10 plus 1 at Red Deer, and I got 3 to 5 pending in Columbia, Maryland. To start out with, and it isn't even next year yet. Yeehaw! And I got to be the mountain man this year. I got to be Santa Doug with the lovely Mrs. Claus. And I gotta tell you, I always thought Santa was a star, but if you got a good Mrs. Claus, that puts Santa on another notch. I know it's true where people tell you, the people yesterday was absolutely nothing. I believe that I had Mrs. Claus like that, so I was much more of a Santa that way. You understand what that works? Oh, it's just so great. So there's that physical outpicturing, but then there's the other part that's really important, and that's the inner part. You might say that's all inner. Well, it is, but it isn't. Eh? It's expressed out here. It comes from within here. But the other part of rejoicing is a different animal. It's called the spiritual component. And joy comes from the Lord, which is God's Spirit, the spiritual man. The law is how it comes into form. And the Lord, we find an unchanging source of 3 important things when we're always centered in that. Peace, contentment, and that other guy called happiness. Anybody looking for that? Peace, contentment. Yeah. You'd never think you'd find it by rejoicing. You know, I have taken on a thing that someone I like a lot in the movie industry said at his 90th birthday, when they asked him how he does it. I mean, you're directing movie Clint Eastwood. You're directing movies, you're doing this, you're doing that. At your age, how do you do it? And the bottom line is, he said, every morning when I wake up, I basically rejoice, saying, I'm here. And then he says, and I don't let the old man in. Did you hear that? Live with that, especially if you're getting up there. Don't let the old man or the old lady in. And if you really think about that, it's a great way to go. Well, I'm going to happen. It don't matter. You know, one day you're going to drop dead. Yeah, well, so what? At least I'm going to have fun dying. Right? You might as well if you're going out. Yeah, so there's that deep spiritual component. And rejoicing is getting centered in that spiritual component and the joy that comes from it. Now, you know, we think about rejoicing as all those other things, whoopee, la-di-da. But that peace and that contentment and happiness can be really low, too. There doesn't have to be a lot of emotion with it. Because, you know, really, when you're centered in spirit, there is no emotion. Because it just is. Right? The wing-dang doodles we get is because we humanize that spiritual component. Spiritual component it just is. Paramahansa Yogananda said, the greatest things we can do in life is the neutralization of the waves of likes and dislikes. He said, don't get, basic my words, coming into it. He said, don't get whipped into a lather and a frenzy over really good things, and don't get bummed out all over really terrible things. Because spirit isn't like that. Spirit just is. So if you can operate that realm of just is, people say, well, that might be boring. Well, being happy, peaceful, and content is good enough for me if it's boring. I'll take it. I don't mind that kind of boring. You know, I can, as you well know, I do drama, so I can add enough spice into my life not to make it boring for an incident or two. I'd like to just kind of continue along on that street. So that's one of the things that we want. And St. Paul in the Philippians 4:10 said, I rejoiced in the Lord greatly. And it's not based on circumstances. It's not based on something outside. It's based on something inside that's already there that comes from us. We just have to turn to it and give it an avenue through which it can express. There are no obstructions to the operation of truth. Try working on that for a while, because that'll cleanse all those little Klingons in you that you don't want, and that'll clean them right out to get that channel purified so that you're expressing that, rejoicing and expressing that more effectively and efficiently. So we find that, and that's where we get that peace, happiness, and contentment. And then I like the other thing that St. Paul said in 1 Thessalonians 5:16 to 19, he said 4 things, and they're 4 very important steps to work on. And a lot of us might work on these, but we're not working on them out there. We're working on them in here. And we're not working it after the fact of the event happening. We work on it before. Okay? So all this stuff doesn't happen after. You can do all that with YAHOOoo and YEEEHAW and all that stuff when you're having the event and after. But this is before. And this, by the way, will create the opportunity to have lots of those. And so St. Paul said, very simple, rejoice evermore. So that's not the physical component, that's the spiritual component. That's going within and tapping into the source and allowing it to work through you. He said to pray continually. It doesn't really matter what your idea of prayer is and how you go about to it, long as you understand that's a connection with the Most High within, in an affirmative matter. Here at Unity, it's affirmative prayer. The Centers for Spiritual Mind use spiritual mind tree. And all the same thing. It's all the same. It all works all the same way. I do the Center for Spiritual Living and the Unity thing at both the Center for Spiritual Living and Unity, and nobody knows there's any difference at all, because it's the same. Okay? So you got to get down to working with that, and that's before. So before you pray, you affirm what the end result is. So that's what you're doing. So you get in touch with the joy, affirming what the end result is, and then give thanks in everything. Not give thanks for everything. Huge difference. Giving thanks for everything is after it's happened, and you're going, what the hell? I never could give thanks for getting traffic tickets. I just can't write thank you on the check when I paid them. I just haven't got there yet. I guess that's why I still need practice and get the ticket. Okay, so it's not giving thanks after the fact, because that's a deadly thing to say. Well, what do I got to be thankful for that for? It's giving thanks before. So you're establishing a consciousness that once it's accepted, that it's going to manifest in form. So I do my thanks now that it's manifest in form. That's just like the traditional idea of Thanksgiving for the Americans coming up and for us past. Thanksgiving, really we celebrate based on the harvest and the crop and all of that. That's not how it was basically founded. It was basically founded as a celebration where you took the harvest and you gave thanks for the one that was coming up in advance. And established the consciousness on what's to come, as well as being grateful for what you have. Okay? And then the last thing of those 4 was quench not the spirit. That means don't entertain, hold back thoughts of discontentment and negativity that will squelch the spirit, or that would quench the spirit, hold it back. It would be enough. So we don't do that, and we open it up. So there you got those 4 things. Rejoice evermore, pray without ceasing, in everything that you do give thanks for it working out for you beforehand, and quench the spirit. Don't put all of those things in there. I'll just give you a quick list. Doubt, worry, and negativity, and fear. That just stifles everything within us. And then we go to another great guy called Ralph Waldo Emerson. And this moves into the next point of consider celebrating and praising yourself on a regular basis. Now, you might say, oh, I don't bother with that kind of stuff. Well, look, you already celebrate and praise yourself negatively. Anybody tell themselves they've been stupid or not getting anywhere, or a loser, or not good enough, or not, and you know, we do that on a regular basis. Well, I'm gonna try. I've been working with this for a few months, and I gotta tell you, I'll let you know what happens down the line, but it's been quite stark doing the meditation and praising myself and celebrating what I've done. But then again, on the other hand, by doing that, I've looked at a lot of the great things I've done in my life. I'm astounded at how many wonderful things that have happened to me and how many people's lives I've actually facilitated in saving. And, you know, why don't I think about that kind of stuff more? Why do I think about being dumber or being a bonehead? That's my favorite, what a bonehead it was. Anybody use the bonehead thing? Anna's always on me, so I try not to say it, now I try not to think of it. But that's one of the things that we've got to do. We've got to get away from doing that and celebrating ourselves more. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, he said, write it on your heart that every day is the best day of the year. He is rich who owns the day, and no one owns the day who allows it to be invaded with fret and anxiety. Finish every day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt have crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. Begin it well and serenely with too high a spirit to be cumbered with your old nonsense. This new day is too dear with its hopes and invitations to waste a moment of it on yesterday's. Isn't that a good statement? I just love that. And then I want to go over to one other thing here, and this is going to get you really going here, because, you know, I have to have something to whip up the lather and the frenzy. So we're going to take one idea here, and I want you just to work with this one, eh? Because it come to me from a friend of mine that I met 30 some odd years ago in Red Deer. He wrote a song called I Love Myself the Way I Am. And then he wrote another one called The Prosperity Song. And his name is Jai Joseph. So the topic is, I love money and money loves me. Try that on for size. We're smoking. Well, they don't want to just focus in one area. This is a whole area. Well, try just the one and see how it works. See what there is there. And the chorus goes, and I love myself. I'm on the way. I'm getting richer every day. I love money. Money loves me. I'm on the road to prosperity. How do you like that? Let's try that. Okay, I'm going to say it, then you say it. And I love myself, I'm on the way.
I love myself, I'm on the way.
I'm getting richer every day.
I'm getting richer every day.
I love money and money loves me.
I love money and money loves me.
I'm on the road to prosperity.
I'm on the road to prosperity.
Okay, that's a good little ditty, isn't it? Yeah, try that in your meditation for a week or two. And just see what happens, eh? Because no doubt there's a few of us got a few little issues around money, one way or another. And sometimes we get going so good on the path, we forget about those. And we wonder where the money is. And it's the same thing as time is one of our most precious commodities. So I'm going to close with a quote from a local artist whom some of you probably heard of, Jan Arden. And some of you know that she's had her struggles in life too. And she wrote this, and I was quite inspired by it. So I'll leave you with this thought today. Time is precious. Life is unpredictable. Fill your sails with passion and joy, and find gratitude under every hardship. Human beings were built for change. We were built to overcome and go beyond and climb over. And so it is, and thank you.